Hi! So many of you actually requested for the Harvard Business School paper about Big Hit and BTS, and so I'm gonna give you a little bit more details on what's actually inside it. Unfortunately, I can't show the entire paper because it's a violation of the regulations. But I did have the entire paper and was able to read through it, and so I'll give you all the important points. So it was actually written by Anita Elbers, a professor of business administration at Harvard Business School. She specializes in entertainment and media and sports sector. She also has with her Lisa Woodham, an associate at McKinsey and Company, a global management consulting firm. This was actually written for a class. I don't know if they are going to talk about it, for how long they're going to be talking about it in a class, but it was fully funded by Harvard Business School, and they used several sources, including direct interview with the staff of Big Hit, including Bang Shiyuk, Yun something, the CEO, and other executives of Big Hit. Essentially, the class wanted to discuss using this paper and answer the three different questions, which are: was BTS indeed well positioned to sustain its success? Number two, could Big Hit replicate the success with the select few other acts in its portfolio? And number three, what did that say about the future of K-pop and the manner in which music companies would manage the relationship of their talents? She started out with an intro. She talked about the successes of BTS, which included the 4.9 billion GDP contribution of BTS to the economy of Korea. And then she also talked about the number one in Billboard 200. Then talked about the difference between the setup of US and Korea. So in US, the center of the entire thing is the artist, and then the management of the artist. Sometimes they have a manager, sometimes it's just an agent. But they work with different companies in order to fulfill the different aspects of the business. The agent is a different company, the music label is a different company, the merchandising company is different. However, in Korea, it's all in one. So the artist in the management company itself has all of that within the company. After that, she talked about the big three, SM, YG, and JYP. She did say that Isuman actually started a training system that's being used by all management companies. They're known for having the most regular release of new talents, and they're also known for doing super groups. So from the different groups that they have, they would gather the most popular and the best ones, and they would form groups. And so right now they have Super M. They were also the first one to conquer China and Japan. And then there's YG Entertainment. They're known for their edgy style and their hip hop style. And then she mentioned Big Bang, 21, and Psy. And then JYP Entertainment is known for Wonder Girls. They were actually the first one to put up a US division in their company. However, they closed it. And then she mentioned that Wonder Girls broke into the US Billboard Hot 100. And then she discussed how they create idols. It's a 3-process system: finding talents and candidates, training them, and then finally launching them. Bang Shiyuk actually mentioned that in this system that they established, there is always 2 points of contention, like 2 things that people would always question. Number one is that since these are manufactured groups, and this is his own words, not the words of the researcher, can you really call that somebody who's manufactured, a group who's manufactured, can you really actually call them musicians? And number two, does the system not restrict the individuality of the lives of the people going through it too much? According to Big Hit, they usually get 20,000 applicants per year. And then the key criteria on who they will choose and pick from those 20,000 applicants are talents, their ability to fulfill a specific role in a group, and then they need to be self-motivated. It's once the talent pass the evaluation that happens after 3 months, then they would usually invest a little bit more on that talent. They usually have a 3-year training period. Usually, not always, because we know that Jimin actually trained for less than a year. and then the company absorbs all expenses. For each talent, they would usually spend $100,000 before they are even before they even launch the talent. And so that means if you form a group of, this is 100,000 per year per person, and so if you launch a group of 6 or 7, then you're down what, 2 million even before debut. The training system is basically very holistic in all companies. Holistic meaning it's not just dancing, it's not just singing, they also do acting. They study their image, like what kind of, when you're doing photo shoots, for example, which angle is best for you, how do you look thinner, how do you shape your body when you're standing. However, what sets Big Hit apart is that they also provide other sorts of training, and that includes how you take care of yourself physically, meaning your health, mental psychology classes, so that you know how to take care of your emotional and mental needs, I guess. And then there's also a mentorship program. By the time that they launched their group, they said that for every one talent, for every one idol that they launched, there's about 13. So of that 13, batch of 13, one of them will be able to debut. It's tough, huh? So Bang Shiyuk said that when they have a debut-ready team, they will move in together for some time, sometimes as long as 1 year and a half before they actually debut, and they will live together in the same house. They will prepare individually for their debut, and for a period of 3 to 6 months, they will also go through peer evaluation, and that they will decide who will best fit as the leader of the group, draw a picture of where the group wants to go, and position themselves as a band. So now she gets into the contracts. She did not say or mention anything about the contracts of BTS, but she did talk about contract lengths, that it used to be longer, like 15 years. And so after so many lawsuits, then the Supreme Court of Korea actually intervened, and then eventually a rule was set forth so that the contract length becomes shorter, and so now it's 7 years. Okay, now when they release music, they usually use South Korean programs to release the songs, and they said that for a slot of 12 or 10 to 12 slots in a program, in a music program, there are 60 actually vying, 60 groups that are vying. So imagine how many people are not, how many idols or groups are actually not entertained or accommodated. Breaks your heart, huh? Okay, now Big Hit Entertainment. Now we go into Big Hit Entertainment itself. He talked about the history, or his history, with JYP. Initially, Bang Shiyuk was working with or for JYP, but when JYP decided to open the US division, Bang Shiyuk was left in Korea to do everything by himself. And so I think it wasn't clear what he was trying to imply, but he sort of talked with JYP and said that it's affecting him. And so JYP said, then it's better if you leave the company. I don't know if he was fired, or probably it was an amicable separation, that they just both decided that he was going to leave. And so he put up his own company, or that JYP suggested that he puts up his own company. But JYP definitely helped him, because when they were struggling, what JYP did was that he sent over 2AM so that they would share the management of 2AM. So that's what he did. And so for a really long time, they were actually making money of 2AM. That was the bread and butter of Big Hit. Now, eventually, when the popularity of 2AM died down, then they started losing money. And so they were very, very close to bankruptcy, or they were already bankrupt. What Big Hit did is to have a reassessment. So they decided to do that. They decided to reassess their strategies. So they asked everybody in the company to stop doing what they're doing and do research. And essentially, they tried to answer several questions. Number one, what is an idol? What really makes an idol? Number two, what is this business that they're in? And number three, who are the fans and what are their characteristics? Because they wanted to figure out a formula that they need to get the success that they wanted, something that is sustainable. They actually came together, everybody in Big Hit, they came together and they conducted a workshop where they shared the different insights that they were able to research. And one of those insights is that there are some, like, they don't use several things correctly. For example, in technology, it is supposed to bring everybody together. The internet, cell phone, chat messaging systems, all of that are supposed to pull together people, but it's actually making people feel more isolated. And so there's something wrong. That's one of the things that they realized. There's something wrong in how they use these technologies. Number two is that they wanted to find out what's a stereotypical K-pop and how will they use that so that they can come up with a sustainable business model. That was actually a crucial part or a crucial stage in Big Hit's history. That workshop changed everything, how they operate, the strategy. In fact, as a result of that strategy, they changed. At that time, Suga, RM, and J-Hope were already trainees of Big Hit. And so, but they were still envisioning the group of RM. They just know that they wanted to build a group around RM. They were still envisioning that to be a hip-hop group. Because of that workshop, that changed. And so they wanted to just put together an idol group. And so, some of the trainees left and only RM, Suga, and J-Hope stayed. And so after that workshop, the other 4 members were added. Okay. As a result of that workshop, it was really monumental because one of the things that they realized is that they actually needed to put the fans first more than anything. And that has dictated every move, every technology, every business model or business opportunity that they have pursued to this day. Okay, now is Big Hit 2020. What does it look like right now? By end of 2019, they had 400 employees and 489 million revenue. Wow. So from bankruptcy to 489 million, that's monumental. Then she goes into BTS. After they launched BTS or debuted BTS in 2013, it was failure after failure after failure after failure. So No More Dream, their very first album, actually only sold 19,000 units. And then the 2 succeeding ones didn't fare any better. School Love Affair was a little better, but still not to the level that they needed it to be to sustain the group and to sustain the company. However, August of 2014, when they launched Dark and Wild, something beautiful happened. And that is, they were able to sell 100,000 copies of Dark and Wild. And then something even more monumental happened. BTS got invited to KCON in LA in 2014. And according to Bang Shi-hyuk, that was when he realized that he had something big in his hand. A little clue that there's a bigger thing out there for BTS because of the response of the fans to BTS. He said it was different, really different from all the groups that were there. The next year, when they released I Need You, that was their very, very first #1 in the music show. And it also started the Most Beautiful Life trilogy. He decided, okay, they actually had a world tour after that. But then after that, he decided, let's push for it. Let's go and try for the US market. But he wanted to kind of do it in a different way. So he decided he'll make a song that he thinks will be more attractive globally rather than just local. And so that's when Fire happened. After that, they did Wings, and it ended up being the biggest album for 2016, and it landed number 26 on Billboard 200, and that was when it was solidified in his mind that this is not just big, this is going to go global. So after that, he talked to BTS, and they said he told them, he said let's try it, let's give it a try, let's give the global market a try. And so they went on to their second world tour, and they ended up winning the top social media award. And so after that, they launched Love Yourself series, and it was their very first #1. and then the second part of Love Yourself became their second number one in Billboard 200. After that came the world tour, where they filled up so many stadiums, and then they were up for contract renegotiation. Bang said that it was actually different. So when they were renegotiating the contract, BTS said, "We will give you 7 more years, but give us the acknowledgement that we deserve for the successes that we have achieved, and reflect that in the contract." So that's that he said that that's what BTS said. So Yoon, the co-CEO, recalled that there wasn't even one instance during those discussions where we had lawyers or agents present banging on tables. We did not talk about money much during the meetings. What we did talk about was, what do we need to provide to our fans and to our customers. Bang noted, when we actually sat down to sign the contract, it was just us and the members. So there were no lawyers present, although he did say that them as a company would always encourage their talents to consult outside, like they have their own lawyer, have their own business managers, but he does not particularly know or specifically know whether they are actually consulting other lawyers. And then after that, after the contract renegotiation, they did something unthinkable, unprecedented, and that is to actually give their boys or their group a more than a month of vacation. And they knew that they were taking a huge risk, because fans are everything in K-pop is so fast that they could actually lose fans. And so they said that but it's just that they decided to do it because they don't think that the speed by which BTS creating contents, it was just too fast, that they don't think it's actually sustainable. They just had to give the boys a break, or they're going to break some other way. So they said that a big part of the success of BTS is YouTube, but it's actually the use of YouTube. That's what made the difference. They were the first one to actually come out with behind the scenes in the frequency that they were publishing it. And so what they would do is, with the knowledge and permission of and understanding of the artists, they would just follow the artists, whatever they do, wherever they go with the camera, and then from there they will pluck out stuff that they can publish on YouTube as a behind the scene. And then of course they allowed their artists, and that started with BTS, to use their own social media, and so they opened Twitter. That there are times, he said, that BTS would come to them and ask whether it's okay to post a certain content or what, but essentially at the end of the day, it's BTS who decides whatever it is that they want to post. And now they have individual accounts in Weverse. This is towards the end of the paper. She did say that BTS is facing several hurdles in terms of sustaining their success, and the biggest of which is their military service. And that's actually the end of the paper. So I guess one thing that you just need to note while you're thinking about the whole point of this paper is that this was actually written for future managers, future marketers, future business developers. So they're trying to study the different strategies being used by different companies in order to produce the kind of products that they want to produce, and how they study the market, how they respond to market needs and stuff like that. Big Hit is claiming that they can actually replicate the success, or at least they have a better sense of what formula to use in order to come close, if not replicate, the success of Big Hit. There is actually another paper from Ivy School of Business. It's also a big university in Canada, I think. And it's also talking about Big Hit. It was written in 2017, so that was an earlier paper. Ivy School of Business is obviously a school of business, and it was it actually discussed how the system of Big Hit and the success of BTS, and whether it can be sustained or replicated. It had several recommendations, such as creating an all-American song or an all-English song. We all know that they were able to achieve the success that they have right now without even having to create an all-English album. So if you have questions, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed that.